Hi everyone, and thank you for joining us today for the 5th episode of Feedvisor's Seller Spotlight. I'm Gabby Young and I'm pleased to be hosting $50 million Amazon seller and entrepreneur Mendel in today's live interview. Mendel is VP of online sales at Excel Mobile Distributors, a company specializing in electronics and accessories through domestic and international e-commerce and wholesale channels. Mendel is also one of Feedvisor's valued customers, and we're honored to have him here today to share his measurable methods and proactive tips for business scalability. You guys have sent in hundreds of your questions, so thank you very much. And we've selected the most popular and relevant ones for Mendel to answer. And as always, we'll be taking some live questions too. So feel free to answer any additional questions on your GoToWebinar player, and we'll try to fit as many of them as possible in. The webinar will be recorded so you can listen again anytime. So before moving on to the questions from the audience, Feedvisor will be offering 5 lucky listeners a free Amazon account assessment after the webinar. So on your screen, you'll see a poll. Please click the relevant option on your screen if you'd like to enter. So I'll give you a minute or two to do that. Without further ado, let's introduce our special guest, Mendel. So Mendel, can you turn on your webcam, please?
Hi, how are you?
Hi, great to see you. So it's great to have you here. Our audience are all really eager to hear about your business. I think this is probably a record for the amount of questions that we've received. So I'm hoping and I'm sure that you'll be able to share lots of amazing insights with us today. So where are you right now?
I'm in New York. First of all, it's great to be here, and share with everyone. I'm in our office in New York, in the wonderful city of Brooklyn.
Cool, very nice, very New York wall I see there. So it's cool to have the authenticity. So you've just had Prime Day. How was it for you?
It was a great day for us. We saw a huge spike in sales. We were very happy with what the day turned out to be.
Excellent. So that's the whole aim of the game. So I'm pleased, and I'm sure you've made lots of profit too. Yeah, so Mendel, tell us, how did you get into the e-commerce business?
When we started I got involved about 7-8 years ago. We were mainly focused in the wholesale side of the business, selling overseas, and we would take slow-moving inventory or extra inventory or return damaged inventory and sell that on Amazon as a way to turn it back into cash and move on to the next deal. And as time went on, we started buying deals specifically for Amazon. That some of it would also sell wholesale, but the focus of those deals were for Amazon. And then through that, we just built relationships and continued growing the Amazon business to where it is today.
Great. So that's an interesting way to get into the Amazon business. Start off for kind of liquidating and things like that, and then really made it become a $50 million business. So that's really impressive. So what does your average day look like at Excel?
The first things I usually do when I come in is I log into Feedvisor. I look to see how things sold the previous day, the buy box percentage, making sure that we're happy with the percentage that we're getting. If not, adjusting our ceilings or floors to try to figure out why we're, to get more buy box and figure out why we weren't getting the buy box, and double checking the sales, making sure that, see if anything needs to be replenished, or if we need to, maybe something has been selling really slow, so we'll try to adjust the price just to give it the kick that it needs. That's usually the first thing that we do. Then would be to place orders with our suppliers for restocking, and then seeing what new opportunities there are, new deals, or if we come across a listing that we think could be really good, we'll ask, see if who has it, and go from there. And then the rest of the day is just maintaining that thing. We do sell on other channels, so it's reviewing the pricing and sales on other channels, dealing with the customer service, and just making sure that the business is running smooth.
Great. Wow. So it's a really busy day, but really interesting too.
Yeah.
So you sell in the electronics category.
Yeah.
Do you sell in any other categories?
Our core focus is in electronics. Every once in a while, if we get a deal that's outside of that and it makes sense for us, we'll take it and we'll sell it. But the core focus is definitely electronics.
Okay, good. And do you sell on any other marketplaces apart from Amazon?
We do. We sell on eBay, Groupon, Walmart, Jet, Newegg. We try to cover all the major marketplaces, and then we have a few others that are maybe smaller deal sites that we also sell on as well. But
wow, so it's truly multi-channel.
Yeah, we try to sell as much as we can.
So what kind of multi-channel inventory solution do you use to manage all those different channels?
We're using a software called Seller Cloud now that manages a lot of it for us, that pushes the inventory to the different sites. We use Feedvisor to reprice on Walmart, and then the other channels, it's a manual process that to reprice and to deal with customer service, and then Seller Cloud also brings in those orders and allows us to ship through one system.
Great. And at what point, you said you were using Feedvisor, obviously, so at what point did you start using a repricing solution, and why did you feel the need to do so?
We started using Repricer probably fairly early on. Once our SKU count started to build up, when you're doing 1 or 2 SKUs, it's a little bit easy to manage. You're just constantly monitoring it. But once the SKU count probably got over 10 or 15, at that point we went to Repricer to make sure that we're always getting the buy box, that our pricing is always competitive. Sometimes the prices drop in the middle of the night and you might not notice till 12 hours later and you've lost sales. So we right away got a Repricer to make sure that we can capture those sales.
Yeah, absolutely. Because Feedvisor kind of reacts immediately to changes going on in the Amazon market even while you're sleeping, which is obviously something you need. Yeah. So I'm pleased that Feedvisor was able to help you there. Just for our audience, if any of you would like some more information about Feedvisor's algorithmic repricing and revenue intelligence solution, and if you'd like to know how it can help your business, you can click on your screen now, either to see a demo or just to get some more information. And then after the webinar, we'll be able to get back to you and schedule in that demo, or just give you a little bit more information about whether the solution would be suitable for your Amazon business. I'll give you a minute to do that. Okay, so let's move on to questions from our listeners. We're still getting in a lot now, a lot of live questions. So we're going to start off with the actual sales growth. So we've received so many messages and emails about this. How do you get from 0 to 50 million on Amazon? I think that's everyone's burning question. Do you think you can talk us through your process?
Sure. I mean, it was a journey. It doesn't happen overnight. In our situation, the company was in the wholesale market beforehand, so we had relationships built up with the vendors already once we decided to get into Amazon. So it allowed us to use those relationships to grow much quicker than maybe any other way. But it was really about building a relationship with the vendors, letting them know, say, hey, we're focusing now on Amazon. Can you give us deals? Let us know we're buying. If you get stuck on anything, come to us. We're here and we want to get into that market. And we built those relationships up over the past 7-8 years, and working with them have been able to get to this point. It was really about the relationships with the vendors. It wouldn't have happened any other way.
And so how would you suggest to other sellers to build credibility with vendors?
It's starting one deal at a time. Show them that you're serious, come through on the deal, make sure that you're not giving them a runaround. You're easy to deal with, and if you're easy to deal with, they'll want to work with you. There's many people that are trying to work with them, especially the good vendors, the ones that have the real inventory and are not brokering it through 6 people. They want to make sure that everyone's coming to them, and if you're easy to work with, they'll work with you. And if you're going to be a pain to work with, then they'll just go to the next guy. So make sure you're easy to work with, build a relationship, pay on time, and they'll grow with you.
And how do you find these vendors?
When we started, I spent a lot of time doing research, Google, LinkedIn, messaging, emailing, calling, and just constantly following up until I got an answer, until somebody forwarded me to the right person to deal with, and then speaking with them, explain them what we're trying to do, explain them about our business, and show them how we can maybe help and work mutually together on selling online or other platforms online, whether Amazon, eBay, wherever it might be, and through that be able to get deals.
Great. So it's all about the relationship with the vendors and the deals that you can get from them.
100%.
So once you had all those vendors in place, how long did it take you to grow the Amazon business to that $50 million business that it is today?
It took us about 7 years to get to where it is today, 7, 8 years. And it took a long time. It takes time. It's still growing. There's still room for it to grow. It doesn't happen overnight. There definitely are times where it spiked, but it takes time.
And along the way, did you have any barriers to growth, and how did you overcome them?
We definitely have issues anytime we spike too quickly or grew too quickly. We've ran into issues with customer service or not being on top of inventory. And sometimes you just have to take a pause from growing the business or even lowering your business just so you can catch up, get everyone on the same page, give everyone a second to breathe, and then continue with the business. Because you don't want anyone to get burnt out. You don't want to burn your account down by just having horrible customer service. Without customer service, you're not going to go anywhere. You can get all the deals in the world, but without it, you can't sell. So sometimes it was just taking a pause to figure out what's going on, correct the issues, and then continue going.
Great. Yeah, that's super important to make sure that you kind of are not running faster than you can walk. Yeah. So once you were making those sales, how did you maximize profit you were making from each of these sales?
So that's where Feedvisor definitely came in and helped us over the last few months tremendously. Any other repricer that we've used was kind of a race to the bottom, so you're not really maximizing the profit, whereas Feedvisor takes many things into consideration, and we've seen many times where we're $7, $8, $10 higher than the next person, and we still have the buy box, whether it's because that person is back ordered or our metrics are better, whatever the reason is, and it's not fighting to go down, it's fighting to go up and be able to maximize whatever we can off that sale. And we see it clearly.
And avoid price wars.
Yeah,
that's something that's very valuable. So what do you feel has contributed the most to be able to scale your business to that level, in your opinion? Would it be, what percentage would you assign to each of these areas? Product and inventory selection, software, marketing and promotions, and then other things that you think help contribute the most to your business success?
I think that having a product and inventory selection, which ties back to your relationship with the vendors, is very important, as well as the softwares to go along with it. You can't grow without having the proper software, whether it's a system to manage your inventory, a system to manage your shipping, a system to manage your repricing. I think both of them go hand in hand. Without either one, it's going to be really hard to grow and grow properly and profitably.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you very much for answering that one.
And obviously, having a great team is also going to help you a lot. You know, it's doing everything yourself is impossible, and having the good people in customer service and supporting you is going to be able to help you grow as well.
So that's actually the next thing I wanted to ask you about, is every company gets to the point where, you know, you can't run everything yourself anymore. So can you maybe talk us through how you went from kind of doing everything yourself for Amazon to building a team, and maybe give our audience a bit of advice on how to kind of not be working 25 hours a day?
Yeah, so that's, at that point is when I realized that when I was working too many hours and that we needed to bring other people on. There were even things that were just falling through the cracks, so we didn't have enough time. I think it's about finding what you enjoy, what you like, what you're strong in, and then finding good team members to support you on those other parts of the business that maybe bog you down, that are still very important. And they'll pay for it themselves, because if they're taking care of it and they can give you the support that you need, you'll be able to focus on additional vendors or building the relationship with the vendors more, and the business will grow on its own that way. Doing it yourself, you're just going to spin yourself in wheels and get burnt out and not go anywhere. So it's was very important and is very important to make sure that you have the right team members in place and supporting you as you go.
So what's the current structure of the e-commerce team at Excel Mobile?
So we have a customer service team. We have one person that takes care of Amazon, one person that's taking care of other platforms. We have a returns team, we have an inventory team, accounting team, kind of break up all the different parts into their own categories, into their own teams, and let them focus on those areas of the business that they specialize in, that they're good in, they're trained in, and then everybody working together is able to contribute to a successful business.
Absolutely, because each part of the business is so important, and if you're trying to do all of them, then they don't all get the attention they need. So, so I can see why that absolutely works.
Yeah.
So another question that's just come in. So do you think that it's better to focus on a small number of SKUs, or kind of trying to maximize the volume of SKUs that you have? Which one's the better strategy to increase the growth of the company?
I don't think that one is better than the other. It really depends on how much you can handle. Having 100 SKUs but making money on 10 and losing money on the other 90 is pointless. If you only can focus on 10, then focus on 10 and make those 10 the best. If you're able to handle more, then definitely handle more. If it means that you have to bring on another person to work with you to be able to handle more, then it's worth doing it, or scale back. There is no point in circling money. There's no point of making yourself crazy and having the stress if you're not making money at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so sell the number of SKUs that you can handle. I think that's the message there.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you said that, you know, you've given us a lot of very, very, very valuable advice so far. Do you ever come up against Amazon in your competition for the buy box? And when you do, what's your strategy for competing against Amazon?
It does happen. There's no one strategy for us. Sometimes depending on how much inventory we have, we might wait it out for a little bit to see if Amazon sells out, let them have the buy box sell out, and then we'll kick back in with Feedvisor and either keep at that price or go back up. We've seen that even when Amazon has the buy box, it's not that we go to zero. There are still sales that Amazon charges tax in many states that maybe we don't charge tax in, so people will still buy from us. And sometimes if we have too much inventory, we'll just continue lowering the price until we get the buy box. Sometimes we've seen that happen a penny or two lower than Amazon. Sometimes we've seen it $5 or $10 lower. And sometimes we're taking a loss on it. And there's no point of sitting on the inventory for too long. You might as well just cash out, and go to the next deal. Just sitting inventory doesn't do you any good.
Absolutely. Okay, so now we're going to move on a little bit to talking about, we've talked about sourcing already, but let's talk about FBA. So some sellers are using FBA and some are not. And we know that there are lots of opinions on it, and there's also seller fulfill prime. What do you use, and what's your experience with it, and what do you recommend for others?
So 99% of our business is on Amazon is FBA. When we started Amazon, there was no seller fulfilled prime. It was either merchant fulfilled or FBA. And doing merchant fulfilled, you're not going to get the buy box at the same price as FBA sellers. You're going to have to be $10, $15, $20 cheaper. So for us, it made perfect sense to do FBA. It also was easier from when we started. We didn't have such a large team, so they handle a lot of the customer service. They handle, all the shipping. So it was a lot easier for us to just ship everything to FBA and let them handle it. Now that they're seller fulfilled prime, maybe we would do things different. We haven't migrated yet to it. There's still challenges with seller fulfilled prime with the different regions that it might be too expensive to ship your product. If you're in New York, shipping to California, to Washington can be very expensive. So we still kept with the FBA. There's the challenges that we have with FBA is making sure that they're not losing inventory, they're not damaging inventory. You lose a lot of the control over the returns. They pretty much take back everything and anything, and you have no way to stop it. There are third-party softwares that will reconcile the reporting with Amazon to make sure that you get reimbursed for anything that's lost or damaged or refunds that weren't supposed to happen. But it's not perfect, and there's still a lot that falls through the cracks, and you really have to be on top of it to make sure that you're not making money on one end and losing it all on the other end, or losing a big chunk on the other end. Which seller fulfilled prime gives you back that control, but again, you're missing out, or it's very expensive to ship to certain areas. And we know some sellers that are doing all seller fulfilled prime now, and it's working out for them. It's definitely something that we're looking into to see what makes sense. But I think starting out, definitely FBA is the way to go.
Yeah, it's definitely convenient at the beginning. But it's interesting to know that you're considering seller fulfilled prime. I know that's like a big topic at the moment since it's been introduced. So it'll be interesting to know how that goes.
Yeah, it's the returns that really gets out of hand with FBA. So if you can control it and you can see what's really going on with the returns, or why it's being returned, or prevent a return, you can save yourself a lot of money that way.
So just moving on to your inventory in FBA, how many days of stock do you keep in FBA, and how do you manage to optimize that without stockouts and too much overstock? And how do you determine your inbound quantities?
So we usually we try to keep around 2-3 weeks of inventory in FBA. We look at previous sales history to see how much is selling in the last 3, 7, 15 days, and kind of make a judgment off that. And based on that, we know that it takes a certain amount of days for us to put the inventory together, to ship it, the shipping time, and based on that, understand that if we're running low, we need to send X amount for 2 weeks based on the last sale, 7 days, 15 days of sales. It's not perfect. There are times where sales spikes, sales slow down. You get competition that can change the velocity of the sale, but we try to do the best we can with that, and it works for the most part.
That's excellent. And also, just so the audience knows, Feedvisor actually has a replenishment report and some other reporting tools that can help with working out inventory quantities and that kind of thing. So let us know, send us an email if you do want some more info about that. info@feedvisor.com.
We do, gotta mention it, we do use, especially every day as I'm going through the buy box percentage, we look at to see the sales velocity, and I'll look at that to see, if we need to send more along with the replenishment reports. They're definitely very helpful, and it definitely makes things easier, especially when you have so many SKUs and it's hard to keep track of everything. You kind of just get one report that handles it all. Definitely makes it a lot easier.
Okay, great. So let's just give our audience a quick opportunity to have a look at those replenishment reports if they like. So I'm just going to put a poll up again. If you do want to find out a little bit more about the replenishment reports or any of our other reporting, please click on your screen now, either for a demo or for more information, and then we'll send you something after the webinar and we'll be in touch. Okay, so now let's move on. Let's move on to talking about the multi-channel. So at the moment, we know very well that you're very, very successful on Amazon. So you're also selling eBay, Walmart, Newegg, Groupon, Overstock, and some others. I'd be interested to know which one of these channels, apart from Amazon, are most successful for you, and how you use each one in a different way.
So for us, Amazon is definitely the most successful, especially in the new category. eBay and Groupon are both very successful channels for us in the used category and the refurbished. They're both very strong. Walmart, Newegg, Overstock, Jet, we're kind of we haven't gone full into it yet. So we're still trying to figure out what inventory moves good on those channels. We've seen all sorts. We've seen our new and used sell on both. There's obviously not the volume that we've seen anywhere else, so we're still playing with it to see what moves better where. Sometimes we use different platforms for different promotions, so we might get depending on which platform wants to do a promotion that week is looking for inventory. Sometimes Amazon might not be open to it that week, but Newegg is. So we'll say, listen, let's run this on Newegg and see how it's doing. Or Amazon ran a good promotion, it ran well, we'll go to Newegg and listen, we just ran it well on Amazon, the promotion's over, now it's your turn to run it, and you guys want to run it, and usually they will if it's good. So we try to work together with those platforms to move the inventory out.
It's really good. I think it's great that, it never stops. There are always new opportunities out there. There are always new opportunities to keep growing your business, and life doesn't stop at 50 million, of course, and just to stay there you've got to work hard. So
and you don't want to keep your eggs in one basket.
Exactly.
You want to be able to be on other channels and have relationships with those channels, so that if something does happen for Amazon, it does happen where sometimes a listing might go down or just an issue comes up, you're not stuck. You've built the product up in other platforms, and you can still move your inventory out that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And so how do you see the future of these marketplaces compared to Amazon? Do you think that some of them might get stronger and might actually be able to compete head to head with Amazon?
I think Walmart has the best chance of competing with Amazon. They can turn their stores into fulfillment centers and pretty much deliver within an hour or two to almost the whole United States overnight without doing much work, whereas for Amazon that would be a lot harder. They obviously need to probably invest a little bit more in their website and in their sellers, but I think that they can give Amazon the real run for their money, especially compete against Prime, which is what makes Amazon so strong.
Yeah, I mean, we have stats that I think 52% of all Americans are Prime members. So it'll be really interesting to see if Walmart can compete with that. I'm sure it's more than 52% now that they've just had Prime Day.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we'll see. Maybe soon there'll be Walmart Day. So we'll look out for that.
Yeah.
And what is your advice to sellers who are thinking of expanding beyond Amazon?
They should definitely, depending what your product is, definitely expand into eBay, Walmart, Newegg. I think those are easier channels to get onto. Groupon, I think, has a more of a difficult approval process, whereas eBay for sure, and Newegg as well, you can just sign on, putting information in and you have an account, and grow it and figure out if your product can move there. Sometimes the pricing is different in those channels. eBay, I think people are looking more for a deal as opposed to Amazon. So maybe you use eBay for your returns or liquidations or one-time promotions without trying to ruin your Amazon market. But there's definitely should grow to other markets and not keep your eggs in one basket.
Have you noticed a difference in pricing between Amazon and Walmart in terms of exactly the same products and how they sell on the two different marketplaces?
So I know when we started out with Walmart, we saw that there was a pretty big discrepancy. A lot of times the pricing on Walmart would be higher than Amazon.
Right.
Which might also explain why the sales volume is not going to be there, because people are going to check other websites. We're using the Feedvisor pricer to make sure that our prices match, which is what's supposed to be according to the terms of your marketplace agreement with Walmart, that it's supposed to be price parity. So I think once the pricing is equal, then we have seen more sales on Walmart. We haven't seen a decline on Amazon, so I don't think that sales are disappearing, but we do see that the sales are picking up as opposed to it being 30, 10, 15, 20, $30 higher than Amazon. And you might get away with it, but Walmart is definitely, they're
checking.
They're checking, they're comparing Amazon to make sure that they have the prices match. And if it doesn't match, they will pull your listing.
Right, so it's really important to make sure you have that parity.
Yeah.
Actually, just to reiterate what Mendel was saying, you can actually, using Feedvisors, we have a tool, a multi-channel tool, where you can ensure that you have the same prices running on both Amazon and Walmart. So your repricing on Amazon will be the same on Walmart, so your listings won't be pulled. So that's a really, really important feature that if you are selling on both channels, you'll probably find very valuable. So as you know, you can contact us afterwards to find out some more information about that. So Mendel, you mentioned that you use Feedvisor, you use Seller Cloud. Are there any other tools that you use to help with your business?
We use software from Seller Labs called Feedback Genius to
we know them.
send follow-up emails to the customers. What we do is we have it send on delivery, send them an email saying, hey, we noticed that your product got delivered. If there's any questions or you have any issues, please reach out to us so that we can help and try to resolve an issue that comes up. And then we send another email about 2 weeks later, again, letting them know if there's any issue. And if there isn't any issue, we ask them to leave hopefully positive feedback. And then usually about a month later, we'll ask them to leave a product review. Hopefully at that point, they're happy with their product and they're willing to leave a positive product review. And it definitely helps us. As the more positive ratings you have, the higher your seller ratings are, the better your metrics are for the buy box. And we see that clearly with competing against people that don't have as good metrics as we do, or maybe someone that has better metrics than we do. We see that the buy box changing, percentage change based on that. So that's a tool that we definitely use. For FBA, I mentioned before, we're using a tool it's called Refunds Manager that will make sure that they run discrepancy reports for your inventory to make sure that Amazon didn't lose anything or damage anything, making sure that your refunds are coming through properly. Because Amazon gives the customer, when a customer applies for a return, they take the money out of your account right away. And if they don't return it within 45 days, Amazon is supposed to give you the money back. But it happens many times where they forget to give you the money back. So the software will go in or they have people that go in and check for the discrepancies to see if it wasn't returned. And then they have somebody that goes in and files a claim with Amazon to get you the money back. And you'd be surprised to how much gets forgotten and how much money they can get back for you. And then we use some other tools, some other add-ons, like to see, just to see it on the browser, how much quantity people have, or percentage, the ratings, did the seller rank, did the page rank, product rank change over the last 30 days, different tools like that to help us buy better. If somebody has a huge amount of inventory, we might not pick the product up because there's a good chance they're going to want to compete with us heavily on price. Or if we see that, we can see trends, so we can see that the pricing was at a lower point and the ranking was good, now it's higher, that's why the ranking is not so good. It just helps us understand the product better and influence our purchasing better.
Great, thank you for sharing that. Going back to the feedback and review tools, we did have a lot of questions about feedback and reviews. So just to reiterate what Mendel told us, he uses Feedback Genius, which is a tool from Seller Labs. And that's a legitimate way to get feedback and reviews for both your store and your products. So for everyone who asks questions about how to get those, it's a really good tool that we also recommend. And I'm pleased that you're also using it, Mendel. So thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
So, okay, I'd like to go through some kind of do's and don'ts for Amazon sellers. We're coming close to, wrapping up, but I think it'll be really valuable for our listeners to hear the top do's and don'ts for Amazon sellers who want to achieve 50 million plus on Amazon. Can you share some tips?
Sure. So there's a few that I think are very important. First of all, being on top of your inventory and your sales velocity, making sure that the inventory is moving is very important. You need to keep that inventory moving to get the cash back so you can move on to the next deal. Having inventory sitting because you're not happy with the profit that's being made, you're just losing more money because you can't just sell it off and go to the next deal because you have it tied up in this inventory. So that's very important. Investing in software is also very important. I think that if we had invested in proper software from day one, we would have been in a much better position today. It's always tough when you're starting out. You don't want to invest too much in it. You're trying to build a profit. So even if it's not right away, but it's just as you're growing to really focus on the software to make sure that you can keep on track of everything and keep on top of everything so that you're not all over the place trying to figure out what's going on. You don't have the proper software, it's impossible to grow. I think I mentioned before, vendor relationships, that's really key. Having good relationships with your vendors to make sure that you're getting the best pricing, the best deals, the good deals. Without that, if they're going to give it to somebody else, it means it's not coming to you, which means you can't sell it, you're not going to grow. So that's very important. Customer service is very important. If you don't have good customer service, your seller ratings are going to be bad. You're not going to get the buy box, and you're not going to be able to move out of your inventory, which is in itself a problem. So it helps with the buy box, and also if you're doing private label, we don't do private label, but if you do, product reviews definitely will help you sell your product and attract people to the listings. I think also being returns, I don't think people realize how big of an issue returns is, especially with FBA, is really being on top of it, understanding what your return rate is, trying to figure out what you can do to make it less, and make sure it doesn't pile up, that when it comes in, you're able to sell it, liquidate it, do whatever you do, just get rid of it, turn it back into cash, or you can move it into inventory. And people think if it sits, you're not losing money. Well, if it sits, you are losing money because you can't turn that cash and turn it into cash and buy another deal with it. And over time, that will pile up. So it is very important to be on top of that. I think lastly is have proper accounting. Make sure that you're accounting for everything. You understand what the fees are. You understand what every charge is. Understand if you're making money or losing money, and record all your expenses and ensure that you're profitable. It's nice to move a lot of volume, but at the end of the day, you want to make sure you're profitable. And without proper accounting, there's no way that you're ever going to be profitable. Things just get messy too quickly, and it's very important. I think those would be probably the main ones, the important ones to really ensure that you grow and grow healthily.
It's like the 10 commandments of making 50 million on Amazon.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so thank you very much for that. I think maybe we should be publishing this. Okay, so now that you've got to 50 million on Amazon, how are you going to get to 100 million plus? What are your plans? What's next for Excel?
I think for us the next is to really focus on international markets. Each market on its own maybe is small, but I think Amazon EU as a whole, all those different marketplaces together equals pretty much the volume of the US. And then you add in the other countries, it starts to really become a huge opportunity. So for us, that's definitely our next goal is to crack those markets and start selling in those markets, learning about them and seeing what products sell and building it. And then also just refining the processes in our business, making sure that, just because it was good today doesn't necessarily mean it's good tomorrow, doesn't mean it can't be better. So figuring out where we're lacking and try to make that better so that we can continue growing and can continue remaining profitable and continue growing the business. Because again, with there's too many holes, you're making money on one end and losing on the other end, there's no point. The point is the bottom line and trying to do whatever we can to keep that healthy.
Thank you very much. We've got time for like 2 small questions. One is people are really interested in knowing how many people work in your company. I guess so they can plan for their own company.
In each department, we have a different amount of people. Okay. It depends, if you're heavy on your warehouse, if you're doing a lot of merchant fulfilled listings, you're going to need more people. There's no right amount. You want to make sure customer service is handled. If you can handle it with 2 people, obviously you want to make sure that you can handle growth and handle spikes in business. So, if 2 people works, great. If you need 5 people, you need 6 people, it's worth investing in it. Obviously, you don't want to have a 20-person customer service team and they're only answering 10 questions a day each. That's overkill and just wasting money. But you want to make sure that whoever's there they're not stressed out. They're not coming in stressed, leaving stressed, because then they're not productive. But it's customer service, it's your warehouse, it's your returns department, it's your support team, it's everywhere. You want to make sure that they have enough what to do, but that they're not leaving the day stressed, that they still have an insane amount of work to do, because then they're not being productive and you're losing out because of that.
Absolutely. And another point is a lot of people have noticed that one of the big key points to your success is actually the relationships you have with vendors. Not everyone is lucky enough to know vendors before they start selling on Amazon. So can you just give a few tips on how to find the right vendors and then how to keep that relationship going? You mentioned it earlier, but it'll be good just to hear again how to find them and then how to make sure that they're legit and then build good relationships with them.
So to find them is using Google, using LinkedIn. It's a great resource to find people in the right company who to speak to. Sometimes you'll get a feel right away if they're legit or not legit. Does their website seem professional? Is it a big vendor? Are they portraying themselves to be this massive vendor, but meanwhile only have 5 employees? That should be a red flag. A lot of it is sometimes you just have to, test it. You build a relationship with a vendor, you start speaking to them. They might have a good deal. Maybe try a small order, see how it goes. There are third-party services that act as kind of an escrow protection where you put the money in, they'll put the inventory in. If everything matches, they'll release everything. A lot of the big vendors don't really want to do that for small orders. Again, they have so many people contacting them for deals that they're not looking to make things complicated for no reason. So sometimes it's just risking it. You try to risk it, on a small order, 500, 1,000, if everything goes well, increase it a little bit, keep increasing it so that you're not, starting $1 million order and then the guy walks off with your money.
Right.
You can always ask for references. Any reputable company will give references, verify them. We've had times where a company would give a reputable name, we'll contact them and say, we have no idea who this is. Because many times people don't check the references. They just say, oh, you're giving this person's name. It must be you know them, so it must be that you're good. But you should actually just verify that it is real. And then just, again, start small and be easy to work with. Obviously, protect yourself in the process and just continue building it, whether it means calling them every day once you have a deal go through, call them every day, ask them if they have new deals, or when you're, every other day. Just to let them know that you're still around, you want new product, you want more product, and most vendors will work with you. Most vendors are looking for new customers. And so as long as you're easy to work with, they'll work with you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. This has been absolutely fascinating. So thank you. I'd like to give the audience one more chance to sign up for a demo, a Feedvisor demo, or find out some more information about Feedvisor so that they can maximize their profits like you did. So on your screen now, you should see a poll. And there you can choose whether you'd just like to get a little bit more info about Feedvisor or whether you'd actually like to schedule a demo, in which case one of my product specialists here at Feedvisor will give you a call and schedule a time with you, make sure it's a good business fit, and then set up a convenient time for you. Otherwise, you can just click more info and we'll send you a little bit more information about how we can help you. I'll give you a minute or so to do that. Okay, so Mendel, I'd like to say it's been absolutely fascinating to speak to you today. Thank you so much for your time. You're obviously a very, very, very busy person and really appreciate giving up some time in your day to talk to us. I know that our audience really appreciate it.
No problem.
Any closing comments before we all go back to our busy day at work?
Just have fun while you do it.
I think that's the most important thing. So everyone, just remember to do everything that Mendel said and have fun while you're doing it. And I hope to welcome you all very, very soon for another episode of Seller Spotlight, so with another big Amazon seller. But for now, thank you, Mendel. Thank you, the audience. And we hope to hear from you soon. Goodbye.